Good morning. On this bold question crunch, we have questions for the ever so spooky Mac Bove. We talk about her love of werewolves, the various projects that she's involved in, artwork that she's created, and she even gives me a 15-minute tarot card reading to find out where my mind is in these troubled times. Well, thanks for being here. Okay. So first of all, I want to mention that that you are one of my favorite people. I love everything, every creative endeavor that you get into is just really entertaining and also very spooky.
Yes. Thank you. That is very, very appreciated.
Oh, I appreciate your stuff. Because the first time we met, you were actually dressed up as Mary Shelley at Comic Fest.
Yes, that's correct. I had a blast doing that. It was really very, very cool to be invited specifically to embody that character and interact with people.
Now, how did you get hit up for that?
Uh, Somebody was searching for a Mary Shelley on Facebook, as one is wont to do. And I got tagged. Another friend was like, "Oh my God, it has to be Mac. It has to be Mac. It has to be Mac." And they were looking at a few people to potentially do it and ended up contacting me.
Earlier on a previous episode, I had Matt Dunford on as a guest, and
Yeah.
he had mentioned that Comic Fest is a fest that is a convention, and might be the last convention of the year. We'll see. But Comic Fest is a convention that I always walk away making a new friend, and you are definitely one of those friends that I made that year.
That was so much fun.
It was a blast meeting you, and that at that show, that's when so we became friends, and I went on. I think you were doing a Kickstarter. It was Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, I was working on a Kickstarter for a project that's on temporary hold right now.
As you know, projects happen. And that introduced me to your love of werewolves.
Yes, my one true love, werewolves.
Now, what is it about werewolves that you love so much?
Oh God. So I've been fascinated with werewolves ever since I was a kid. And for me, it's been truly a lifelong thing ever since I started reading short stories and watching the old Universal films. And it's this idea of, well, it's twofold. On one hand, it's the idea of transformation. And I think that that's really fascinating. And I always wanted to be able to turn into an animal, maybe with more control, but that was always appealing to me. But the other thing is, I feel like werewolves are a very good metaphor for a lot of things. And I think that we all have kind of felt the way that werewolves are portrayed, where it is something that you are cursed with. You don't have a choice in the matter. And that's kind of how it goes with the world sometimes. You get thrown these curveballs and you have to navigate these different pieces of yourself throughout your life, and sometimes it feels very uncontrollable. And so I think they're a metaphor that applies to everyone as well as being just a fabulous supernatural beastie.
That I feel like I needed to hear that. That was that resonated more than I was ready for. I was just like, oh, I love werewolves, underworld, hell yeah. And then you said that, I was like, well, shit.
Yeah, I am working on it right now. It's with my editor, but I actually have a novel that I wrote, and hopefully I'm hoping we'll get it to publication this year. And it's been interesting because the lead character is a werewolf, and I've had a lot of people that beta read it for me and came back to me with like, oh, I think it means this. Oh, I think it means that. And just all got something very different from the same character story. And I thought that was really fascinating.
That's pretty beautiful. Which werewolf transformation is your favorite?
I'm a big fan of the American Werewolf in London transformation.
That's
I
a good one.
think because you can see everything, the acting is perfect. It's in a brightly lit room. It's one of the best practical makeup effects I've ever seen in my life. So I'm captivated every time that scene comes on.
Now, which transformation? You said you would prefer a transformation to have more control.
Well, for me personally, there's people out there that probably need to be torn apart and eaten, but it would be nice if it was a little more directable and a little less, oh, I'm going to eat my family now.
um, well, the reason why I was asking about like more control is one of my favorite werewolves is still always going to be Teen Wolf, and
I
the
have
movie
seen
Teen
that
Wolf.
movie so much. That is probably the movie I have seen the most in my life.
What's your favorite scene
Because
from
I
that
would
movie?
just put it
Oh,
on.
go on.
I would just put it on at night when I was trying to fall asleep. So that was one of my constant films to just chill out to. Favorite scene though? Oh man. I mean, I'm a big fan of when he shows up at the dance and he's all dressed up in a white suit and everybody automatically knows this wolf themed song and it's just so ridiculous and wonderful.
I'll be honest, like when I went to prom in my junior year of high school, I did wear an all-white tux, and I'd like to say it's because I thought it was funny. But now when you mention the suit, I'm like, I I, I don't want to say that Teen Wolf influenced that idea, but it might have.
Teen Wolf is all of us.
I love Teen Wolf a lot. I think that when I was younger, it was all about, Back to the Future, and then I saw Marty as a werewolf, and that really sold it for me.
Yeah, it's just a delightful little film, and I highly recommend getting the latest Blu-ray of it because there is a featurette talking about the making of and the writing and the producing and everything that they went through to actually get the film made, and it is fascinating.
Holy crap! No, that's I didn't know they had a Blu-ray of Teen Wolf.
Yeah,
Oh no.
it's a special edition Blu-ray. You have to get it specifically from it's Shout Factory.
Okay. Wow, I'm looking very
Yeah.
forward to that. Because like there's often times where I've said, "Geez, Louise," only because I love that scene.
Yes.
And when I say it like that, a lot of people are like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Oh no, I totally follow where you're getting that from. There's nothing like having a catchphrase that very few people understand.
Yeah, right. I feel like in my twilight years when my mind goes, I feel like I'm just going to be doing movie quotes that most people are not going to recognize at all.
I think that's a noble goal. That's a life well lived.
Who is your favorite werewolf?
Oh man, I mean that's like which is the favorite finger on my hands.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
actually, I do have a favorite finger, but it's rude. um, let's see. I mean, there are so many that are so good, but I may have to go with the one from my favorite film of all time, which is the 1941 Wolfman with Lawrence Talbot, because he's so relatable. He's such an everyman, and you really feel for the guy.
You said you said it's difficult for you to find like your favorite.
Yeah.
Which ones are like high up there in your mind? So you do have a favorite from your favorite movie, but which ones would you say really when you were deciding this, which ones were you having a hard time deciding between?
Well, obviously I like David Kessler from American Werewolf in London
Hmm.
because that's one of my favorite films. I'm a big fan of Jack Nicholson's character in Wolf as well, and
Oh,
that movie is real rough on the back end of that movie, but the first part of it is extremely solid, and I really enjoy that as a werewolf film.
I loved it on that movie when the werewolf traits were kind of bleeding into his humanity.
Exactly. I think that was a really interesting, different way to go with it.
That was thoroughly entertaining. But how about Benicio del Toro?
You know what? A lot of people rag on the remake Wolfman, and I really enjoyed it. I think there are a lot of imperfections, but overall, it's a solid film. It's fun. The effects are interesting. The makeup is beautiful. I I thoroughly enjoy that film for what it is.
I really like the scene where Benicio del Toro turns into the werewolf in the asylum when they're trying to prove that he's not,
Yes.
that he's just crazy, and all the doctors are seeing him turn into it, and they're just like, wait, what? Like,
Oh no. Maybe he wasn't lying to us. But yeah, I remember seeing that film the day before Valentine's Day. And
okay.
because that's when it came out. And the next day I was like, I don't want chocolate or cards or flowers for Valentine's Day this year. All I want is to go see the Wolfman again. And that's exactly what happened.
Nice, nice. And so this was a Benicio del Toro one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Now, your Kickstarter, I mentioned that earlier. The reason why I brought up the Kickstarter was just because what was the Kickstarter show project that's on hold?
Typecast is currently on hold, and it was and is intended to be a show about monsters who are actually actors trying to make it in Hollywood. So every monster you've ever seen in any movie, imagine that that's an actual monster performer.
And they can't get they can't get jobs doing anything other than being a monster.
Yeah, they're trying to break out of their mold, and nobody wants to let them do that because they're unspeakable horrors. Yeah, so hopefully that's gonna once we get through the craziness of the time we're in now, and I get back on my feet because there's been some stuff over the past couple of years that's thrown a big wrench in my ability to focus on the project. But we're hoping to at least shoot the pilot.
That would be fantastic. When you first told me about that project, I was immediately sold because it's just a really fun idea.
Yeah, it's I really love it, and I really want to make it happen. I just want to do it right.
Yeah. Because I think that I remember for one of the tiers, one of the goals, if someone donated a certain amount, I gave you an image of a bunch of werewolves and your character in like a casting room.
Yes, yes, I still have that, and we're going to be making sure that people get what they're supposed to from the campaign. It's just been a very slow and arduous process.
Of course. My favorite, well, it was fun drawing that thing just because, I got to, of course I had to throw in Teen Wolf, but then Michael Jackson's Wolf was a lot of fun.
It's so good. And then you had a guy in a mocap suit.
Yes. So you're saying that the mocap guys are taking all of the werewolf jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfair. There's unrealistic werewolf standards in Hollywood.
Because who can compete with the underworld werewolves? They're too
A
gigantic.
lot of the other werewolves because the underworld ones are pretty good, but they're definitely not my favorite design.
Uh-huh. I like it. One of my favorite things about them was just seeing a lot of practical effects on them. Not when they're like not when they're running and like climbing on the walls, but there was just a
Sure.
lot of prosthetics that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean the special effects are pretty solid, and I do enjoy watching Underworld. I will say that unabashedly, but I'm very picky about werewolves.
Which one is your favorite underworld movie?
The first one.
The first one?
That's
Nice.
the only one that I watch because I've seen most of the others, and even I have my limits.
That's fair. Um, you work on, so besides your typecasted show, you also have worked on you worked at Crypt TV.
Yes, that's correct.
And what is Crypt TV?
Crypt TV is a short form YouTube horror channel.
Mm-hmm. And what did you,
So,
oh, gone.
so yeah, it's all horror shorts.
And what did you do for Crypt TV?
I was the director of product experience, so I oversaw all of their merchandise from concept to production to getting it out to the fans.
Which I remember seeing a lot of stuff that you were posting, a lot of the merchandise you were posting. That's just incredibly. I loved every, like, I was just thinking, oh man, if I had a fortune, if I had money, I would buy everything that you posted. It was just great.
Oh, thank you. I put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into everything that I produced while I was there.
And
And it was really nice to be trusted to come up with things conceptually and see them through all the way.
and it shows. And that also goes with your what was, you have a t-shirt, you have a website where you can order t-shirts that you design, right?
Yes, I do. It's called Memento Mori, as a play on Memento Mori. And it is where I've been posting my own art on apparel, and you can also get pillows and stickers and things like that.
Which is great. I again, like, whenever I see you post some kind of graphic that you're working on, when it came from Crypt TV, from typecast to Crypt TV to your website, your own personal website, it's just been thoroughly enjoyable, and I always look forward to seeing what new art you're going to come up with.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing one of my designs right now. I'm wearing my professional spooky bitch tee.
Love that tee.
Because that's basically what I am. I've made a profession and a living off of being strange.
Which it, yeah, you are definitely one of my favorite people. I love all the spookiness. So with Crypt TV has a lot of monsters. They have a long list of monsters in their index glossary. I don't know.
Yeah, repertoire.
Repertoire. Uh, which Crypt TV monster would you cast as a sitcom dad?
Oh, let's see. We have so many monsters, and it's like, do I go with what I think is the obvious pick or go with something a little more oddball? But I think I'm going to go with what seems like an obvious pick to me, which is the Look-See. Because he's got no eyes, he has a mouth, doesn't talk, and just has to gesticulate wildly, I imagine, in a sitcom situation.
I kind of feel like you were right. I think that would be the obvious choice, because I think I can easily imagine the Look-See in like the sitcom dad outfit.
Yeah, sweater vest, the whole nine.
I was thinking more along the lines of like Al Bundy type thing.
The monsters are really fun to work with and interact with, though. I actually shot a small commercial last year for our merchandise, and I got to script it, direct it, produce it, and do the voice of one of our characters, Miss Anity, for it.
That's way too cool.
It was really fun.
What was your favorite part about it?
I really enjoyed scripting it out.
Uh-huh.
But I also had such a good time voicing Miss Anity and getting to be very proper about everything and creepy at the same time.
Can you give us a taste?
Well, when you're talking to Miss Anity, everything is very, very particular in its place, unless it's covered in blood, which is also acceptable.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not a big voice person, but I do occasionally get to do voices. And in fact, I actually got to record for another podcast I'm a part of today. And my character in that is from Georgia. So that's a lot of fun for me.
Did you have to do a lot of research on the accent on that?
I didn't. It just kind of rolls along. There's something about a Georgia accent that just seems easy to me. And somebody from Georgia may hear it and think it's just atrocious. I don't know. But nobody has complained so far. But the series is Otherworld London. And all of the other characters are British. And my character is the one American transplant.
And what is that about?
Otherworld London is a Cthulhu 1890 game that we're playing over at 12 Sided Stories. And it is a highly produced podcast. So we have sound effects and music. And it is women that are investigating the supernatural happenings in London.
And how long have you been doing this project?
We are starting recording on our third season.
Damn it. Now I feel like I completely failed because this sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, we had kind of some breaks because we've done Otherworld London, we've done Galactic Squad Alpha, we did a game that I ran called Unquiet Blood, which was a game of Vampire 5e set in San Diego, which was pretty fun. But Otherworld London is sort of our flagship game.
Okay. Well, at least I know what I'm going to be binging while I'm working on comics. Damn, I feel like it's such a failure.
Oh no, it's okay. We're still growing.
Well, now you got an avid listener out of me. That sounds way too awesome. Shit. I feel this is definitely like hearing about a show on like Hulu or Netflix and be like okay, when I found out about The Good Place, I never really gave it a shot.
Sure.
And then I watched the one episode and I'm like, what the fuck? Where was I? This is amazing.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I started that show because people just kept saying it was good, but not explaining why.
Yeah.
And then once you watch the show, you understand like it would ruin it if somebody explained why. It's just you have to watch it.
That is a fair point. That is a very fair point. Well, because like I watched it because it was part of so my friend Jen, who was the guest on the last episode, she kept on talking about how amazing that show is, and I kept procrastinating. I kept putting it off. But then when we had the clown charity, she forced the first episode on me because of Eleanor's house being all clown themed. And that was her way of trapping me into liking the show, and it worked.
That's marvelous.
I completely blame my love of Good Place on my fear of clowns.
Well, that's one way to get into a show.
Did you watch the last episode?
I am behind, unfortunately. I'm behind a season, and it's not currently streaming where I need it to be streaming. So, sad face.
It's not on Netflix yet? I thought that...
I don't know if the last season is yet.
Okay. Oh, because I know the last season was on Hulu. I don't know if they...
And then I think they pulled it when everything had aired. I missed it while it was going.
Lame. That's unfortunate.
I have to check again because maybe I'm wrong or maybe they've put it back up.
I highly recommend you catching that up because that last episode was very touching.
I'm sure that show is. Every episode feels like they've written themselves into a corner and there's no way that the show can recover and be good again. And then the next episode, they're like, haha, we're awesome.
We're good writers.
I aspire to write something at the level of The Good Place.
That is a high goal to have.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know.
But yeah, that last episode, I don't know a lot of shows that end so perfectly, but Good Place did it. Good Place has a perfect ending.
Oh, that's good to hear. That warms whatever serves as a heart for me.
The dark pit of despair.
Yeah. It's slightly warmer now.
So you're a fan of horror films, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
I feel like I can make that guess. I feel like I can make that educated assumption.
Yes.
Which slasher movie monster would you want to see get bitten by a werewolf?
I mean, I've watched all the slasher films. A few of them are good, a few of them are bad, but I
Sure.
think I'm gonna go really old school and go with sort of the first slasher film and say Norman Bates.
Ooh. That'd be a completely different movie.
Can you imagine? He not only thinks he's his mother at times, but then he can also transform into this monstrous wolf.
I feel like that would add to the already existing Little Red Riding Hood concept of that movie.
Yeah, it would be very strange, and I'm here for it.
I'm just picturing the bathroom scene where she's in the shower and you see the silhouette of the old lady like just start transforming right
Be beautiful.
there. I remember when I first saw that movie. When I first saw that movie, it was very strange because it doesn't feel like it was a movie made at the time it was made.
It's very contemporary.
Well, because they have this one shot where it's the overhead shot of seeing Norman drag the body from room down the hall, and the camera follows him, and it's gorgeous.
It's extremely well shot. It's well scripted. It's well acted. It's a very, very good film.
I think that when I saw that shot, I actually had to go online to see what year. Like I knew it was Alfred Hitchcock, so I knew it wasn't something that was made recently, but I still had to
Sure.
look it up just to confirm because I saw that shot and I was like, wait, hold on.
I got really lucky watching that movie. Nobody had spoiled the twist for me by the time I saw it.
Really?
So I got to experience it completely just naive to the fact that he was his mother.
That's pretty awesome. I'm
Yeah,
super
it was
jealous of
really
that.
cool.
I'm pretty sure it was spoiled for me. Um, but the performances of that film and the dialogue is great. While I didn't get to experience the shocking reveal, I still very much enjoy. That's a movie I can watch over and over again and see something new.
Oh, absolutely. When it came out on Blu-ray, that I had to buy it immediately.
I feel like I should own. There's a lot of films I get annoyed that I don't have already. I feel like that's one of them.
Yeah,
What
I could
do
see
you have
that.
any do you have any movies that you feel bummed out that you don't have already? Or do you own all the films that you
Um,
already wanted?
let's see. I really need to get a copy of Ready or Not.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
It's very good. Very
Okay,
good, very dark comedy horror movie.
which I'm all for.
It's very good. I recommend it highly.
I remember when Drag Me to Hell came out,
Oh, I like that
and
film.
I love Drag Me to Hell. I really do. Um, but I remember, oh man, I'm just going back in my mind and thinking about all of the good scares in Drag Me to Hell, like the scene where the old lady appears in the back seat. I love it.
Yeah.
But I remember when that movie came out, people who didn't know who Sam Raimi was and did not know what to expect from a Sam Raimi film really didn't like that film.
Yeah, he's definitely got his own style. And that speaks volumes of a director, I think, when their work looks like their work.
Yeah, you can see Sam Raimi's signature on so many of the scenes in that film. Like when the goat starts talking, I just remember people, friends that I know, were like, "What the hell is this? I thought this was supposed to be a horror film, but it feels more like a comedy." I was like, "Well, yes and yes."
Yeah. Porque no los dos. I love horror comedy. And
uh,
it's very, very difficult to do right. But when it's done right, it's magnificent.
um, so it's okay. So the new what was it? Universal tried to do the Dark World, right? Or Dark Universe.
Dark Universe, yeah, and that just went womp womp.
And I remember when they first showed when it first showed all the cast that they have planned for the Dark Universe, and I was not a big fan of the idea. However, I kept thinking to myself, and I think I mentioned this on another podcast as well, when the Dark Universe was first introduced. I think I talked about this, but the thing that would have sold me on that concept is if at the end of like introducing all of these monsters again, at the end they do like an Abbott and Costello kind of movie, but they have Simon Pegg and Nick Frost encounter all the monsters.
That would be super fun.
That's the one thing that would have absolutely sold me on the concept. And I was like, I kept it was no way there was no potential in it actually happening, but I kept on just praying. I'm like, come on, just do it. I would love to see Simon Pegg and Nick Frost encounter the monsters.
Yeah, they definitely work as a comedy duo. I can't think of many other like established comedy duos right now the way that there used to be.
I think that if they did do a duo film, a comedy duo with the monsters, it would most likely probably be Seth Rogen and James Franco. But Nick Frost and Simon Pegg would be the ones I would hope for.
Yeah, they would be a lot more fun to me.
Agreed. When I mentioned that there are movies that I wish I owned already, I keep seeing posts of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, and I keep getting really upset that I don't already own it.
That was the first Blu-ray I bought for myself.
Good call.
I love that movie so much.
It's one of the best films out there. I quote it often. I quote it more often than I probably should. I don't know. But you know the scene where Benny wins over the mummy by bringing out all of the religious symbols?
Yes, it's so good. Oh, you don't like that one? Oh, not this one.
I remember being in the theater and being like, yes, I'm Jewish. I would survive.
It was a nice twist and a nice play on what they were trying to do with that movie.
I don't speak Hebrew, so Imhotep would be very upset that I'm not actually having a conversation with him. He would hear the prayer, and I'd be like, that's all I got. But I think about that scene often because I think that I think it's a valid life lesson where it's just like, you know, it will save your life if you're more cultural. If you
and a bit of a weasel about it.
And I recently I saw a post that said like all of the reasons why The Mummy is one of the best films out there. And my friend Tabby, who Tabzar, she was a guest on this show in an earlier episode, and she said that the list fails because they didn't mention the chair throw. And I agree, because the chair throw when Brendan Fraser when O'Connell chucks the chair at Benny is just fantastic. I love that.
The whole movie is just minute to minute fabulous.
So on this episode, on this bowl of Question Crunch, we're going to do a tarot card reading, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this. I haven't had a tarot card reading in years.
Then it's time.
Yeah, I agree. What got you into tarot cards?
I've been interested in tarot for a very, very long time. I can't really pinpoint exactly when it became a thing for me, but I do know that when it really started to resurge in my mind was about the time that my mother was unfortunately dying from cancer. That year for my birthday, I got gifted a tarot set, the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is kind of the most known tarot deck and really the template for so many to follow. And I started teaching myself how to read the cards. It was something that really kept me focused and gave me some solace in a time when I was struggling.
What has been your favorite experience doing tarot card readings? And you do tarot card readings online, right?
I do them online, and right now, especially, I kind of have to.
Yeah.
But I do them either via like a Skype or FaceTime, any of the visual streaming media. But I will also read where I will do a full write-up and send that to people as well instead. So it just depends on what their preference is on receiving the reading.
That's pretty cool. How would people contact you for a reading?
Best thing to do is hit me up on my social media on Instagram or Twitter at Strange Like That. And also through my website. There's actually a form to fill out for tarot reading specifically, and that's strangelikeThat.com.
That's fantastic. And what's your do you determine the price depending on how long you want the reading to be?
Usually it's like how long people want the reading to be, how many cards. So I try and be flexible to people's budget and what they can and can't afford with it, or what they're hoping to attain by having a tarot reading. I also I can't really do it as easily now, but I do events, and in person will resume as soon as it's safe to do so.
Sure. So I mentioned I started this question. What has been your favorite experience in tarot card reading?
I mean, I think it's just the overall experience of having people come back to me afterwards and saying, thank you, that was so helpful. I really needed to hear that, and making life changes based on information that they needed. Because for me, tarot is not as much about, ooh, here's the future. It is, here's where you are. Here's where you've been. This is the trajectory you're headed on. If you don't like that trajectory, now you are more aware and you can change it. Or if you like that trajectory, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing. It's sort of a way to help unlock the truth of things and put people on the path in the right direction.
That's pretty cool.
I want people to feel that it's helpful in the now, and I want people to live happy, successful lives, and tarot is the tool that works for me for that.
Most excellent. Do you have a favorite card?
The death card.
The death card.
Which a lot of people is like, oh, it's because you're spooky, blah, blah, blah. But the death card is actually a extremely positive card, because no life can occur without some sort of death. Even when you are changing careers, that's a small death that happens to get on to the next part of your life path. We throughout our lifetimes see the death of many, many things, and that's the only way that we can grow.
That's pretty great. I like that a lot. That's beautiful. Oh. What do you have a particular favorite art of the death card?
Oh, I mean, I like the traditional Rider-Waite, which has a skeleton atop a horse, and he is basically coming for everyone. There's a king featured on it, and there's somebody of a lower station on it, and that it comes for us all, and nobody is exempt from it.
That's pretty cool. So let's get into the tarot card reading. I think where are we in the time?
38 minutes.
38 minutes. This sounds like a that was an awesome sound, actually.
Oh yeah, I gotta shuffle the deck a little here.
We're gonna say, Angie?
I think while you do the reading, I'm gonna turn off my video, so it's just you two on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'll still be in audio, but video will be gone.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll hold up the cards. I don't have a good setup to show you while keeping my camera stationary, but I'm doing a Celtic Cross layout, and I'll also take a photo of it so you can see the entire spread a little bit after we're done with this. And
I honestly really love that sound. If this was an ASMR, I'm like, ooh.
yeah. All right, let's give them one more shuffle.
Fantastic.
So here's the next part of this, and this is something I ask everybody when I'm reading for them. Do you have a question for the cards, or do you want me to pull cards and we just see what comes up and discuss what I find?
Let's do the second one.
Okay. I
Because
find that,
if I ask the card deck a question, it's going to be a silly question along the lines of like, what kind of chili dog I should get?
oh, and they won't answer for you for stuff like that.
Ha, lame.
I know. That's just not how the cards work. So
I need help picking out my lunch and whatever takeout is available right now.
all right, I'm just laying out the cards.
Excellent. I'm looking very forward to this. I think the last time I dealt with tarot cards, I did a tarot card reading for someone else, where she's like, "Here, you give me a tarot card reading." I was like, "All right, well, I don't know anything about the cards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to interpret it as an artist. I'm going to look at the art and see what I can say."
Well, that's actually the best way to learn. Is looking at the art, because what you see in the art is it tells a story. Mm-hmm. The other way I like to describe it to people is that every card in the tarot deck is basically a word in a sentence. So I'm just reading the sentence that the cards are presenting to me, and those, like any sentence and any language, sometimes the words have different meanings depending on where they fall in the sentence. So the same card can have different meanings in different places. So just looking everything over right now and going to get a general sense of what I think this is about. One of my cats is deciding she just jumped into the tarot card spread. Please go away.
I mean, they are the gods of the underworld, so.
Huh. Okay. There's a lot going on here.
Awesome.
And
is that good or is it chaos? Is it turmoil?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So, the first card I'll point out is in the center of the deck, and it is, or the center of the spread, and it is to signify you in the now. And with that card, I got the Seven of Swords. Now, the Seven of Swords is inverted, so sometimes it means that the meaning is reversed from what it would normally be. I read cards with the inversions, and some tarot readers don't do that. So it's really a matter of style. But on this is a man who is taking a bunch of swords and sort of running off with what he can get and leaving the others behind. And I feel like in this instance, especially with it reversed and in the context of everything, it's probably for the best. It feels like there's some things that you're moving forward from and are not as focused on as you had been, and that's a good thing, I think. The task at hand, the thing that is kind of blocking your path right now for moving forward, is the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is inverted, and it normally is a picture of sort of this happy family celebrating. Fours tend to be plateau cards, so they're kind of they're a stable card when you pull up fours. But right now there's a lack of stability, and it feels like a lack of stability within in a more personal way, which I feel is definitely reinforced by the card on the conscious mind, which is the moon. Now, the moon is a major arcana card, and Major Arcana cards are sort of like red flags in tarot, and they really scream out to be paid attention to when you're doing a reading. Now, this card is really unusual, and it's about sort of navigating the inner mind and figuring out where you want to be, especially when that looks like there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of options, there's so many paths, and you're trying to navigate through all of that. So it feels like you're very much on a personal journey right now, sort of a self-discovery journey. In the spot for your subconscious mind, you have the sun. So you've got the moon and the sun in balance in the spread here. And the subconscious mind there is a lot of joy, and there's a lot of happiness, and there's a lot of very positive thoughts that are being buried underneath the more negative, difficult life thoughts. In the recent past, you have the 10 of Wands inverted, and this is a man who is carrying a bunch of wands, looks very burdened by them. Wands are the element of fire. They're about our passions and our creativity and the things that really drive us. And it feels like some of the hard work has already been done, that this is in the past, and you've done a lot of the work, and maybe just haven't quite recognized how much of it you have already done. And I think it's a reminder to embrace what you have accomplished so far. In the near future, you have Strength, which is another Major Arcana card. And it's a woman holding open the mouth of a lion. And it is not about physical brute force, it's about perseverance. So this is a reminder that even though things may be difficult and you're having a hard time navigating this inner mind and the doubts, that you need to have a patient strength to be able to weather it. Now, in the spot for Dreams and Nightmares, you have the 10 of Swords. So you have another 10 card. And it is not a pleasant card. It is a card with a man face down on the ground who has 10 swords sticking out of his back. So this is usually about kind of what it looks like on the card, usually fears of being backstabbed. And I'm getting the feeling that, based on what I'm seeing and what you're thinking about, that there is some fear of maybe even someone coming and trying to get a little retribution. You've done a lot, you've made a lot of progress, but I think there's still something tied up with the past that is not letting you move completely forward and is kind of keeping you up at night. For the spot that's reserved more for outside influences, you got a really positive card. You have the Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles tend to be about worldly concerns, so finances, work, things like that. And this card features a hand holding a glowing disc of a pentacle, and it's the beginning of something. So it feels like maybe an opportunity is actually coming your way, or has come your way recently, that might provide you with a new beginning that has, even if it's not truly financial or not, it's an opportunity right now that could turn into something that is financial. In the advice spot, you have the 7 of Pentacles, but it's inverted. And this is a guy sort of waiting to reap what he's sowed when it comes to things financially. And again, just in this context, it feels like there's a lot of being patient and trying to deal with that, but it's frustrating. Like, who wants to have to wait for things? And then for the outcome card, you got the 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands is often called the victory card as well. There's a man riding atop a horse, and he's got a wand with a laurel on it, and there's people around celebrating. But it's inverted, which tells me there's still some time yet before victory is going to be achieved. So I guess the overall gist of this is that patience is required. You are heading in the right direction, but you can't let the things of the past pull you back from that. And like I said, I really feel like there's some concern that someone's going to come creeping up from past issues, and you're worried that you might get stabbed in the back, which is not great, but at the same time, you can be more on the lookout for something like that, somebody who's going to try and tear you down and tear down what you've built so far. And you need to keep in mind that you have a lot of very positive things and you've accomplished a lot. And the happy thoughts are there, even though it doesn't feel like it. But mental self-exploration is never a bad thing either. Just don't let it consume you. So it feels like you've got a lot of worries going on right now.
I feel like that's that's a default of mine.
Yeah, it is for a lot of people, and it makes us blind to the things that are good. And seeing the Sun card, I mean, the Sun card is the most positive card in the deck, and it is about brightness and light and life, and seeing it in any card spread anywhere is a really good sign that there's really something great going on. But it feels like in this particular spread that it's going unnoticed.
And that was my subconscious mind, right?
Yes.
Is it often that you get the moon and the sun? That was interesting to have.
No, it's a very unusual combo to have both going on, and it feels like this is a very personal spread and very complex in a lot of ways.
That's pretty groovy. I was like, are there more celestial cards in there?
I mean, really, it's just the two, but the Ace of Pentacles has kind of got a celestial look to it. So it's very likely that is all tied together. So I would be on the lookout for opportunities, though, because it feels like if it hasn't already happened, something is coming your way very soon, and it's going to be just the beginning of it. So that's part of the reiteration of patience in this spread, I think, is it's not something that's going to pay off immediately.
What was I going to ask? So this deck was all about finances. There's no romance in my deck?
I don't see anything with romance in here, but sometimes you get what you need to get out of the cards more than it is what we're hoping they're going to say.
Gotcha. No, I can totally understand that. And I'm like, I hear the cards, and I'm like, okay, I read you. I'm perfectly fine focusing on finance over romance.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that, and the finance is tied with your creativity and your passions, and that's really important to recognize as well.
Cool, fantastic. Cool. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to take the time to talk about all of the places that people can find your stuff.
I'm all over the internet, and if they say my name in a mirror 3 times.
Lately, because of quarantine, you've been doing readings online, and it has your first time you did it when you were highly inebriated and reading Lovecraft, which it was fun, and I'm glad that people voted for no Lovecraft, because I don't want to hear more of Lovecraft. But I do plan on drawing a comic probably this week. We'll see. I want to do a drawing of how I want to do a drawing of you as Cthulhu, where Cthulhu is all about creating insanity, making people insane, but I feel like your readings are creating sanity. It is keeping me sane and entertained.
I'm
Uh,
so glad.
it's true. I love it that there's a lot of people doing live streams of stuff, and it's keeping me where I'm working on art and being able to listen to anything. So I appreciate that, and that was public, right?
Yes, I was making those public on my Facebook Live. So right now I am trying to aim for every Wednesday and Saturday at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time that I'm reading the Animorphs books, which are no great piece of art and do not hold up well. And I
What do
am
you
doing
mean?
so highly intoxicated.
What do you mean do not hold up?
They are words that are on the page, but they are not necessarily the best words that could have been chosen to put on said page. Yeah, it's a little bleak. It's very much written at a YA level, and it is just as an adult, and then on top of that, drinking. Ooh, it's a rough read. It's rough.
No. I'm looking very forward to that. Is the video still on your Facebook, right? Because I gotta check this out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll make sure the second one is public as well. It should be. It's hard to keep track.
And that will be this one. Well, I guess after this, because this episode is going to go on Friday, so the second one will already be up, available, correct? If you can do that.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you can find you do a lot of art on your website, which you mentioned earlier. Mention again, for people who didn't listen the first time.
StrangelikeThat.com.
And you have a Teespring? What's that website?
It's a Teespring store.
Okay,
it's easiest to just go to my website and click on the link to shop.
Oh, even better. That's more helpful for me because I couldn't remember the website for the t-shirts, and I sound like an old person where I'm like, oh, the Pokemons? It's on Teespring.
Yeah, it's that whole thing too where it's like the teespring.com/store/strangelikeThat, and it's like just go to my website and shop.
Fantastic. We will make sure to post a link when we do this. We'll post like a little graphic of the website name when we post this.
Yeah,
do you have any other projects you want to mention that you're working on?
I mean, that is a lot of it. I do a lot of streamed games, so people can watch me streaming live on Mondays at 7 o'clock again Pacific Standard Time with Happy Jacks.
And what is the game usually?
With Happy Jacks, we vacillate every other Monday. I'm in 2 games. So I'm in one that's called the Greenwood Collective, and it is a Shadowrun game, although that's coming to a conclusion. But I will be starting in a new game that I don't think I can talk about just yet in the same time slot. And then on the alternating Mondays, it's Tales from the Flood, or Things from the Flood, which is a sequel to Tales from the Loop, which is sort of a kids on bikes 80s that never was sort of game, but we progress the characters to the 90s and sort of the disaffected youth of the 90s and navigating a really strange town. So it's kind of like a more grown-up Stranger Things.
That sounds pretty great.
It's super fun, and I really enjoy my character for that, although she is mentally taxing because I'm kind of the responsible one of the group somehow for whatever reason. So I have to help keep the other people out of trouble.
So is it more like Stranger Things or Goonies?
It's more like Stranger Things.
Okay. Well, because like when I mean, I guess that makes sense because you're doing a whole town thing.
Yeah.
It's just that immediately when you said the more responsible one, I thought Mikey, and I was like, no, isn't Mike which one was the main kid on the 11's boyfriend?
Oh,
Is that Mike?
I think it's Mike.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Still another Mike. All right. Glad they keep consistent with mics. Um, I whenever I think about like the monster, spooky, strange kid genre, my mind immediately goes to two of them actually. There's Goonies, and then there's Monster Squad.
I was just about to say Monster Squad. Monster Squad's my jam.
I've often thought that I would thoroughly enjoy a remake of Monster Squad.
That'd be interesting. It's funny to watch it now with modern perspectives because, I mean, that's said of a lot of movies, but there's problematic stuff in there. You're just like, whoa.
So much throughout the whole movie, you're just like, ugh, I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, big yike.
But I do like it when the kid with the shotgun, after killing the sea monster, being like, my name.
Yeah.
Favorite scene from that film. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is the first Skype episode that we've done, so I hope it wasn't too jarring or too...
Getting strangely used to it.
Okay, cool. It's my first Skype interview, so it's interesting because all the body language of actually being face to face with someone is out of there. So this has been tricky, but
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Oh, no, I had a great time.
Excellent, and thank you so much for the tarot cards. Go check for all of you listeners out there. Go check out Mac. Go check out her website. And I highly recommend gain a tarot card reading yourself. Anything more you would like to add?
I think that's about it. That's all the big stuff that I'm up to right now. I'm always looking for new projects, though.